Oh yeah, you're
I'm
right.
looking forward to
It
seeing where
is. It is.
Michele goes with this. Give it several seasons and we'll judge if he's a one-trick pony or not.
Okay,
Hmm.
so to that point, um, question: S- uh, How do you feel about? Because I'm changing my opinion on one thing. You know that I'm very big on like not commenting on a debut collection. That I'm more
Yep.
like, give me 2 3 seasons that I can comment.
Yep.
I heard a very interesting point that says that the most important collection, which is kind of true, is the debut collection, and
Yep.
that you should comment on the debut collection because this is the first connection between the designer and the house.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I agree and disagree only because you have to think of the context of debut collections in the time of, designers that we praise. Let's say Galliano, like McQueen at Givenchy, like all these times, Galliano at Dior, blah, blah, blah. We need to also remember that there was less at stake financially for those designers.
Yeah,
So they could do way more creative things and take a lot more risk. Where I think now almost every debut collection we see is just way too safe. And I think the
right.
reason why it's way too safe is because there's so much at stake financially. At the time when McQueen was at Givenchy, it wasn't even like $1 billion brand or like
Yeah,
so that's the thing. But now because they're playing with billions, there's too much to lose, so they won't let you do all that sort of stuff. So I think
yeah,
that's also something to add, and that's actually a big reason why I think giving them more time is the right thing to do. But I see that point where you're coming from in terms of it's still
right.
part of the story they're building at the brand that they're designing at, so it does matter.
The DOA, Sean McGurr doesn't need 2 3 seasons. It's DOA. I can't.
And I guess in a way, you're kind of right because we've seen so many designers only last for like, geez, I mean, where do
Ludovic,
we start? Ludovic at Anzu Lemista,
still one of my
Ruigi at
favorite.
Bali. It's just like there was like a time when it was just like 1 or 2 seasons gone, 1 or 2 seasons gone.
Yeah,
Like even the designers at Chusadi, although theirs was different, theirs was
the
because
GmbH
Chusadi.
guys.
Yeah, the DMBH guys. Because Chusadi, I think, was going through like financial issues or something like that.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so that's the thing. So it's like, actually, maybe you're right because once again, me saying there's so much at stake, there's actually so much at stake that if you don't perform in a very short span of time, they get rid of you and look for someone else.
right.
I think you should comment on debut collections while remembering you should almost always give another chance. Yeah, Leo is not. I don't think Sean deserves a second chance. It's just so incompatible. He does not belong there. Wow. I wonder
Yeah,
how, just speculation, I wonder how Sean is taking to the criticism because, as much as, like, okay, I wasn't a fan of the collection,
yeah,
mental health, we always need to go back because in fashion, we don't like to talk about mental health. And,
right.
like, I always mention the Kingdom of Dreams documentary series. Watch it if you haven't seen it. Where you see like Marc Jacobs go to rehab and like unfortunately McQueen took his life and like Galliano had issues and also had to like get himself fixed and stuff. And so I wonder how he's feeling because obviously he's been a designer behind the scenes all this time. This is probably the first time he's ever been under this sort of scrutiny. So I wonder how he's handling that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hope that I spoke about it on my Instagram because I felt like an asshole because no one liked the collection.
Mm,
It really does. Someone said, "I'm happy Sean McGurr doesn't have public social media." I'm sure that he has like a Finsta account. 100%.
yeah,
All of them do. Trust me.
yeah.
If Rick has a Finsta account, Sean does also. Um, so I think that I felt sorry for him, but look, this is his vision of McQueen. I hope that second collection is better. If it's not, I mean, like, look, we're gonna talk about it one way or another, and If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, we're going to say that it's bad. I understand. Like I feel sorry for him because like it really wasn't well connected. But that's the problem for like designing for such a beloved brand.
Yeah.
Like all of us like hold McQueen for on like such a different level. I know I do because like that's the reason why I started fashion. But
I
it
personally
just
think he's the greatest designer of all time. Obviously, you can't
same
objectively say that because it's
same
subjective. But for me, if someone asked me who's the greatest designer of all time, I'll say Alexander McQueen. To be fair,
same here. Same here. So like for us, like we keep it on a we hold him on like a different pedestal on but I think that it's gonna be fine. Maybe he just needs more time.
yeah, I don't know. I just hope he's dealing with it okay because I think
Same.
I always have to think of these things in context. Like for us, we put ourselves out there on social media, and we're so used to getting hate at this point that it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Correct.
But when, because once again, this is probably the first time he's been under this sort of scrutiny. I don't know what effect that could have on
Have
someone.
on
Because
him.
if I think of like my YouTube channel, for example, it was growing slowly. So the hate started coming slowly too. So by the time my channel got bigger and there was more hate, I got used to it by reading the
Correct.
few hate comments.
Correct.
So I kind of grew with it. But with him, he's gone to a huge house and all of it has just all come at once,
But I think that like the
essentially.
people that he's surrounded with are being more like, oh, that was a great collection. Just because like we see it doesn't mean that he sees it.
Mm,
Just because we talk about it doesn't mean that he sees that stuff like that. So I understand that. I'm more like I hope that he has like a good mental health because if he does not show something that is better next time, people love to hate.
true.
People love to hate. But
And
I
yeah,
mean,
people in fashion are like, they're harsh, but to the point of, because if I critique a collection, I would say why I don't like it, why, and I'm
I
talking about the clothes. But
but,
the
but
personal attacks,
oh,
I don't
that's
agree
stupid.
with the personal
No.
attacks at all. I
the
don't
the
agree with
the
that.
personal attacks are like on a completely different level. Like you don't know the man. Like the man presented what he thinks is right. Like judge the
Yeah,
clothes. Don't judge other stuff.
yeah.
I do think that collection could have been saved with a better concept of the show. If he involves more theatrics as McQueen did, some of those pieces would not fail so miserably.
Mm.
I think if you
I
put
just
that
think,
if
I
you
mean,
if
I've talked about the collection so much, but it's like the theme of the collection was supposed to be this sort of like fun kids in London, animalic sort of thing. And then the set is an abandoned train station,
yeah.
and we're sitting on sponge things that are supposed to represent hay. Leo, so listen, the design vocabulary is just not McQueen. The lines speak for themselves. Those silhouettes are not McQueen. If you get it, you get it. And if you
Yeah.
don't, you don't. Yeah.
No, I agree. The girls that get it, and the girls that
Yeah.
don't. We hope that he's going to be one of the girls that get it. But that concept should have been a lot better. I think it would save so many more. And this is what I don't understand. What the hell is with designers that don't know how to pick a good finale look? Like the last look. The only look, in my opinion, that is worth mentioning is that broken glass look.
But even that look, what killed that look for me, and shout out to Son of a Gun because we were looking at it on the live stream, is it's a really good idea. Like the references are really cool, but then you look at the back of the dress and it looks terrible. So it's
Well,
only the front that looks nice.
yeah, it was not the yeah. Correct. Correct.
Which is not
That
McQueen once again, because Alexander
right.
McQueen is all about craft. So
Correct.
that's what I mean. Like it's so, even just the design language, not understanding what McQueen stands for, having this really amazing glass dress, and then the back is some horrible lining.
It's very
That is
half-assed.
McQueen would never do that.
Yeah,
Ever.
it's very
He would not do
half-assed.
that.
Do we know if
McQueen is the
buyers
person that
receive it
was
well? Do we
McQueen
know
is
if
the person that was making wooden prosthetic legs from scratch.
correct. Correct.
You
So that
can't design for McQueen and have terrible lining as the
exactly.
back of a dress. It's just not good enough.
That's very true. That's very true. The buyers did not the that collection did not hit the stores yet, from what I know.
Oh, the McQueen, yeah, it hasn't hit stores yet.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. But it looks like a Sheen version of Loewe.
What are you talking about? The leather pieces.
I like the leather piece of a little straps. No, the I'll show you the piece that like killed me. Wait.
I was a Lauren McQueen client when Sarah was there for like 5 years. Not anymore though. Just copped my last jacket from Sarah. Damn. What brand are you hopping to now, Leo? What's your brand of choice now that Sarah's no longer there?
The dress
It's
that felt
really
like the dress that felt like a personal attack, hands down.
a personal
Hands down.
attack.
It was a personal attack. They called me all the slurs, including the
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That curtain look. Yeah, that was terrible.
this
That was
was
just.
this was
There's
really
nothing to say because even I'm someone who's like, oh, what's the reference? What's the this? What? But even with all of that, it's still not great.
yeah.
Um,
The reference was JW.
yeah, categorically just bad. I did love the footwear though. I always go back to the footwear. Those like
Correct.
horse heel
Correct.
things.
But
Those
then
were amazing.
the horse thing is the only thing that kind of like I was like super impressed with.
But and it works in the theme because it's supposed to be this like animal sort of like rebellious theme. Because I think in the show notes, and I think someone alluded to that in the comments too, is the show notes he was talking about the world being soft, which I don't agree with. Well, literally, there's war everywhere. I don't know what world he's living in, but but I get it. So you want to have a world that you want to create a McQueen world that's like rough on the edges, but there was nothing rough on the edges about that show.
Yeah. No.
McQueen McQueen, if you want to do rough around the edges at McQueen, we have to be shocked when we see the collection because when McQueen did shows himself, we were
Yeah.
genuinely like off of our seat. Well, not we because I wasn't there, unfortunately, but um, when I was living vicariously through the people that were there when I watched the runway shows, people are literally on the edge of their seat in horror shock when McQueen does
Yeah.
shock or does, that sort of stuff. So I just think there's just a lack of understanding of what McQueen stands for, what the house stands for, what are the house codes, just complete lack of understanding of
Sure.
any of it. And that goes back to like the referencing once again, because he referenced so many past McQueen collections, but the reason why they fell flat is the way he referenced them. He referenced them without an
Exactly.
understanding of the essence of what the brand represents.
Correct. You can reference it all you want, but you have to be smart about referencing. Like we are not in your brain, and we have to see if you want the reference to land. It has to be like easily detectable. It doesn't have to be the most obvious, but it should be easily detectable. A lot of those pieces were just like a miss, especially I showed it. These last three pieces were just I had
Oh,
no idea.
the car one. That was because I think he said his dad is a mechanic, so it's like a reference to that's why they use like car paint and like the chassis steel that you would use for a car. And that was a reference to Sarah Burton did that collection that had the with the floral print. I can't remember what season it was, but it was kind of like similar, kind of like that molded design. And McQueen has done it himself.
No, I know
Oh,
that.
I have to bring them up. The McQueen one, McQueen actually did it twice. Um,
I know he
let me
did
see if I
like
could let me
I
see if I
know
can
he did
bring them
like
up on the screen.
I know he did like the torso with the face
Yeah.
attached to it. We were in McDonald's when we were looking at that.
What's that?
We were in McDonald's when we were so basically after the show, after we saw the show, me and Io get together and we're talking how bad the show is, and then we end up in McDonald's like
Yeah, true.
true fashion people.
Like true fashion people, we go to McDonald's. So glamorous. How glamorous of us.
People are like, "Oh my god, you guys are like living fashion," and I'm like, "Girl, it is a chicken burger at
Yeah, we were exhausted at the end of the
9 p.m."
day because that day was like. Remember, we both were like running late because the trains were really weird and like
Yeah.
getting delayed and stuff. And then it was raining really heavily. Like it was just a terrible day.
Oh my
It
god,
just
yeah,
wasn't
that's true.
great.
Now I
And
remember
then we
like
got to, and then we saw that collection after all of that. Oh my
we're like,
god.
no, I remember we were in a train and I'm sending you a message. I'm like, hey, where are you? You're like, I'm running. And I'm like, well, I'm in the train. And then my train out of nowhere stops. And in Paris, like, it stops in the middle of nowhere. It's like everybody has to go out. And I don't speak French. And I'm like, not cute at all.
Because my train just stopped for like 10 minutes. And I was like, I am late for the McQueen show. It's
I
like,
was
of
so
all
stressed.
times to stop, it's now.
Exactly.
This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind the scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.